the second edition of the NAIA Weekly Football Report. I'm your host, Alan Grossbach, alongside Chad Waller, coming to you from the NAIA headquarters in downtown Kansas City. Each week, we will take a look back at last weekend's games, go behind the scenes of the top 25, look into games of the week for the upcoming week, highlight milestones, and showcase those feature stories from around the NAIA. We kick off today's show with a look back at key games from the past weekend.
And Alan, you know there's been a lot of them in the last week, and I'm going to start out west in the Frontier Conference as a pair of unbeaten teams took to the field Saturday when number 4 Carroll visited number 19 Rocky Mountain. Now both Carroll and Rocky entered the game with 3-0 records, so both off to a tremendous start. The Battling Bears had beaten the Saints in Billings last November and were looking for their first back-to-back wins in the series since the 99-2000 seasons and their first 4-0 start since 1998. However, a tough ground attack led by Carroll tailback Dustin Rinker and the fast and physical defense by the Fighting Saints proved too much as Carroll won 24-17.
Definitely an impressive performance by the Fighting Saints. Rinker finished the contest with 29 carries for 164 yards and a touchdown, while Carroll quarterback Dakota Stonehouse, who's in his second year as a starter, tallied a team-high 250 yards of total offense, including 109 on the ground. You know, not to be shortchanged is the impressive offense of Rocky Mountain, and their quarterback, Bryce Baker, recorded his 7th straight multi-touchdown performance with a pair of touchdown passes. The win keeps Carroll tied with Montana Western atop the Frontier Conference standings, while Rocky Mountain rests in 4th, a half game back behind 3rd place Montana State Northern. A pair of important games also took place this last Saturday in the Heart of America Athletic Conference, when number 8 Baker traveled to number 14 Benedictine and number 15 Mid-American Nazarene paid a visit to number 11 Missouri Valley. Let's start with that battle of unbeatens between Baker and Benedictine.
You know, what I loved about this game too, we're going to flip the roles here and talk about the offense, because Benedictine, who entered the game with 7 straight losses to Baker in the series, scored 22 unanswered in the fourth quarter alone en route to the 42-28 win. So quite the offensive display. The two teams combined for over 1,200 yards of total offense, including 685 from the Ravens. Benedictine quarterback Bill Noonan set a new program single-game record for passing yards, and get this, it was over 450 yards through the air on 27 of 44 passing, including 3 touchdowns. Joining Noonan as a star performer for Benedictine was running back Cameron Four, who set a season high with 171 rushing yards, including a pair of touchdown runs, and wide receiver Christian Hack, who ended the game with 138 yards receiving on 6 catches. What a display.
Definitely an offensive display. You know, what we touched on this briefly last week, and it was hard to believe that Missouri Valley and Mid-American Nazarene entered this contest with losing records. It's just rare for these two programs. In this last Saturday's contest, Missouri Valley won its 16th straight regular season home game with a dominating 33-9 win over the Pioneers. This is the lowest point total for Mid-American Nazarene since they scored 7 points in the two sides meeting last year on September 8th. The Vikings set the tone early in the game when a muffed punt by the Mid-American Nazarene punt returner gave the Vikings new life on their own 36-yard line. Missouri Valley took full advantage of it when quarterback Bruce Reyes connected with wide receiver Jarrell Davis on the first play from scrimmage with a 64-yard touchdown strike. The score led to 24 unanswered points before Mid-America finally lit the scoreboard with a 26-yard field goal by Michael Brewer in the fourth quarter.
Wow, what a key play for Missouri Valley on that touchdown. Now let's look at Missouri Valley's offense as they churned out more than 425 yards for the second straight week, while its stingy defense held Mid-American Nazarene to just 276 yards of total offense, including just 49 on the ground. With the loss, Mid-American Nazarene starts the season 0-2 for the first time since '91 and puts them in a big hole in the Heart of America.
Wow, definitely a surprise out of Mid-American Nazarene. Well, and arguably the most anticipated game of the weekend, number 2 St. Francis of Indiana held off number 7 St. Ambrose 38-37 Saturday night in Fort Wayne. After pulling within 1 point, the Bees failed on a 2-point conversion attempt that would have given them a 39-38 lead with approximately 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. St. Ambrose had a second opportunity to win late in the game, but the 41-yard field goal as time expired fell short. This is the second consecutive year these two teams have played to a 1-point margin, with St. Ambrose claiming a 14-15 win last season. Definitely always tight between these two teams.
Yeah, and perhaps it could have been a home field advantage for the Cougars. Now let's look at the Cougar offensive stars, starting with running back Antoine Campbell, who had a career day with 4 rushing touchdowns, 190 yards rushing, and a school record 37 carries. What a workhorse. He now has run for nearly 400 yards and totaled 6 touchdowns in just 2 games this year. Quarterback Josh Miller also set a career high with 412 yards on 25 of 37 passing. The victory improves the Cougars to 86-11 all-time at home, including a 70-4 home record in the last 74 home games.
Very impressive. Now let's look at a few of the unranked teams that upset ranked teams this weekend. Unranked Montana Western defeated number 12 Montana Tech 29-22. Trinity International knocked off number 17 St. Francis of Illinois 41-38, and Reinhardt, in their first season of college football, picked up their first program victory with a 28-24 win over number 24 Faulkner this past Saturday. A great win for the Eagles, and congratulations to that program on picking up their first win. All right, Chad, so now we move into this week's top 25 poll, and we start with the teams ranked 25 to 16. There were 4 newcomers that joined the ranks within this group, with number 19 Valley City State out of North Dakota, number 20 Concordia from Nebraska, number 23 Peru State from Nebraska, and number 24 Trinity International out of Illinois. Concordia snaps the longest streak without receiving a top 25 mention amongst the newcomers. The Bulldogs, who are 3-0 this season and tied atop the GPAC standings with Morningside and Doane, were last ranked on September 10th of 2002. Quite a stretch.
Yes, quite a stretch. Now I'm going to take a look at the teams ranked 15 through 6, and I'm going to highlight 3 unbeaten teams in that group. Number 7, Grandview, number 10, Benedictine, and number 15, Montana Western. Number 7 is the highest ranking all-time for Grandview, who had previously never rated higher than number 9. Benedictine, who we talked about earlier in that big win against Baker, is making its first appearance within the top 10 since ranking number 6 in the 3rd regular season edition last year. Montana Western of the Frontier Conference was last ranked October 8th, 2007 at number 21, has not cracked the top 15 since the 2003 preseason poll.
Now we move into the top 5, and St. Xavier holds strong at number 5 for the second straight week. The Cougars successfully rebounded from their loss against NCAA Division II University of Indianapolis with an impressive 41-10 win against then number 22 Robert Morris of Illinois. The St. Xavier defense really impressed over the weekend, holding an Eagle offense that entered the game averaging over 400 yards of total offense per game to only 166. Very impressive showing for them. The Cougars, who still face a tough schedule ahead, faced their 4th straight ranked opponent Saturday when they traveled to number 22 St. Francis of Illinois.
And I'm going to talk about number 4 and University of Cumberland's, who dropped 1 spot this week. The Patriots, who were idle this past weekend, are 3-0 on the year. And perhaps one reason why they fell 1 spot is because of Carroll's performance, like we talked about, in beating a top 20 team. Cumberland's opens the league portion of their schedule on Saturday at Pikeville.
As Chad foreshadowed here a little bit, jumping 1 spot, and the only movement within the top 5 this week is Carroll, who lands at number 3. As we mentioned earlier, the Fighting Saints picked up a big victory against then number 19 Rocky Mountain, 24-17, to improve to 4-0 this season. This is the 8th time in the last 10 years Carroll has opened the year with 4 straight victories, the last coming in 2010. Carroll continues Frontier Conference action on Saturday at an Eastern Oregon team.
And now entering the number 2 spot is number 2 St. Francis for the second straight week. The Cougars, who are 2-0 on the year, have 2 wins coming against ranked opponents. St. Francis is the lone remaining unbeaten member of the Mid-States Football Association Mid-East League. However, they don't open league action until October 5th at Siena Heights. The Cougars continue their murderer's row of a schedule to start the year with a trip to number 7 Grandview this weekend, followed by the league opener.
Definitely a game to look forward to this weekend, that Grandview St. Francis game. Retaining their spot at number 1 is the Morningside Mustangs out of Sioux City, Iowa. This is their 3rd consecutive poll at number 1, and this last weekend they thrashed Dordt College 79-14. The Mustangs scored on all 12 of their offensive possessions, 11 of which were touchdowns. The point total is the highest for Morningside since 1933, when the Mustangs defeated Western Union College 79-0. Some serious offense in that game. The Mustangs have a bye this week before returning to Great Plains Athletic Conference action on October 5th at Midland University.
Now, after talking about that top 25 poll, Alan, I want to turn our attention to some key matchups this weekend. as there's 4 games that pit ranked teams against each other. Number 2, St. Francis of Indiana is at number 7, Grandview. What a showdown in the Mid-States Football Association. Then we've got number 5, St. Xavier, at number 22, St. Francis of Illinois. In the Heart of America Athletic Conference, we've got number 10, Benedictine, at number 23, Peru State. And finally, number 18, Rocky Mountain visits number 21, Montana Tech.
Definitely a lot of key games coming up this weekend. Well, that puts a wrap on this edition of the NAIA Weekly Football Report. We hope you enjoyed the show. We will be back next week with more exciting news around NAIA football. Thanks for watching, and until next time, good night.